So if you're a jet broker and all you're doing is calling, hey, you want to sell your jet? Hey, you want to sell your jet? Hey, you want to sell your jet? No one's going to listen to you. The how, doesn't do anything. Even though you've changed different hows, the what is all you're doing is asking them a question. That doesn't help. Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Tom Lelyo, and on this channel, we pull back the curtain on private aviation. Whether you're a buyer or a broker or an inspiring broker, we help you buy and sell private jets with no experience necessary. Today, we're doing a reacts video with my buddy Alex B over at the Aircraft Broker Academy. Just dropped another amazing video, why new aircraft brokers fail, the top 5 mistakes. And we're going to see if he knows what he's talking about and if I agree with him or not. So let's check it out.
The number one most common mistake that new aircraft brokers make is having unrealistic expectations.
Boom. Number one, I'm with you. Let's go.
I can't tell you how many times students have told me that they want to be like Steve Barzano and sell Gulfstream Globals or Falcon.
How come nobody's telling them that they want to be like Tom Lelyo? I mean, I don't know. He's got to be talking to the wrong people, I guess. They're watching the wrong YouTuber.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but many new aircraft brokers enter the industry believing that they will be able to close million-dollar deals quickly and make huge profits.
I'm going to push back just for a second here. When it comes to unrealistic expectations, and I think you might get to it later, for me, it's not that people come in and think that they're just going to sell Gulfstreams. It's more they don't understand the amount of work that it's going to take to get to that level. But I think he might go into that later. We'll see. But let's just see what he's talking about with their unrealistic expectations.
However, the reality is that it takes time to build a network, establish trust with your clients, and understand the complex process involved in buying or selling aircraft.
That's true. So selling and buying private jets is simple, but it's not easy. And it's also complex. And what I mean by that is you find a jet, you list a jet, you sell a jet. It's that simple. But within that, there's a lot of different steps that go into, well, what does that mean to get a listing? How do I market a listing? How do I handle offers? How do I write up offers? How do I open up escrow? How do I navigate through the pre-buy? How do I help them take delivery? There's a lot of things that go into it, but yeah. If you don't have all that stuff, you shouldn't be calling yourself a broker.
For example, I started in the piston market, selling Cessna 172s, Navajos, and Warriors. It might not be as glamorous as selling a G550, but you can still make a great commission. So to avoid this mistake, it's important for new aircraft brokers to have a clear understanding of the industry and set realistic goals for themselves. Building a successful career as an aircraft broker requires a lot of patience, hard work, and perseverance. For example, back in 2018, when I started my brokerage, it took me a whole year to sell my first airplane, but I never gave up, and eventually I started building momentum. Now, this leads me to the next mistake.
So before we get into the next mistake, a couple of things. With Alex, I'm 90% sure when he became a broker, he wasn't doing that full time. I think he was also a pilot. So for him to take a year to sell a jet or to sell an aircraft, okay, great. You had other things going on. So that's what happened. And I think it's to his point to have realistic goals. And so people will come and talk to me and say like, hey, Tom, like when can I get my first commission? And I'll usually tell them about 6 months. And that's a little bit of an overshoot, but I think it's probably going to be where it's at. And the reason I give that is because that's what happened to me. I came into aviation with no background. I was a youth minister for 10 years. And when I came into aviation, I had no idea. I had no idea what to do. I had no idea how aviation works. I had no idea how complex the systems were. I had no idea, building relationships over the phone. This is the first time I was doing it. So, I came into it, but my first year I did 20 deals and made 6 figures. And the reason I was able to do that was because I just put my head down. I did what my coaches and my managers told me. I paid for extra training. I dropped over $10,000 my first year once I got commission to get more training. So the money I made went right back into my training. And I think that's part of the reasons why my income doubled the next year and tripled the following year. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Alex, 100%. I think that's really important to get all those things and have the right expectations and set good goals and be just have realistic expectations that you can get into this part-time, but it's going to take you longer. So if you want to if I made 6 figures my first year full-time, if somebody wants to go part-time, it might take you a full year to make 50K, something like that. And just don't be afraid to adjust your expectations. What I want to say is don't let your expectations hold you back from getting started as a broker. So if you need a six-figure income, but you can't quit your job and go 9 to 5, what I would say is go part-time and just be like, oh, just be okay with and satisfied by 50K for the year. Don't wait till you have to quit your job. Just grind it out for a little bit and get the experience so that the following year you can really crush it.
able to deal with rejection. I'm going to be completely honest with you. When I first started, I was frightened and I even felt embarrassed at times to tell people what I was doing since I didn't have any experience selling airplanes.
Yes. I totally felt this way when I first started selling jets. I was embarrassed to tell people I sold jets because I had never sold a jet. And even when I started selling jets, I felt weird because I was like, I can't believe this is really happening. I sell jets. And even now, it's funny because sometimes you go into industry, mixers and stuff, and they're like, "Hey, what do you do?" I'm like, "I sell jets." And like, "Oh, cool. Which ones?" And I'm like, "Well, the old ones, from the 1970s and 80s." And I'm like, "Really? I can't believe anybody, buys that anymore." It's like, "Well, thanks. They do." And I'm happy living my jet life to the fullest. But yes, sometimes it's embarrassing, especially when you first get started. You're like, I sell jets, even though I haven't sold one yet.
I was
Oh, but that's why one of the good things about working with Jet Life Aero is you can lean on the success of the company, and you don't have to worry about your own personal success. It's one of the advantages of working with a brokerage instead of just trying to do it on your own.
worried about what other people thought about me since I also started other businesses that failed. The funny thing is that the people whose opinions I cared about are still stuck in the same place. So I can't emphasize how important it is to get rid of these feelings.
Yes. It's really important that Alex points out that think about who you're listening to. And if the people whose opinions that matter most to you are individuals that don't have the level of success, whatever that means, spiritual, emotional, financial, business, if the people that you're listening to don't have that level of success that you're striving for, I think you should count their opinion a little bit less. Now, of course, spouses and family, they have a special place, but at the same time, if your family members, in-laws aren't in the same financial situation that you want to be, why are we listening to them for advice on how to get out of where your current situation is?
And unfortunately, this is not something that I can teach. This is an internal battle that you must win on your own. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there and getting rejected by clients. It's important to remember that it is not a reflection of your skills or abilities. Sometimes the timing may not be right for the client. The key is not to take rejection personally and instead use it as motivation to improve and continue pursuing new opportunities. Another mistake that newer
This is really important. Learning to deal with rejection. Couple of things. Number one, you got to learn how to deal with your disappointments. I'm sorry, discipline your disappointments. It's important to learn how to discipline your disappointments. You're going to be disappointed. That's natural. It's okay. But what happens is over time, if you learn how to discipline them, you get disappointed for a shorter amount of time. So maybe I remember the first time I made a phone call, I was like, "Hey, do you want to sell your jet?" And they're like, "Nope," click. And like, that was my very first phone call as a private jet broker. And I was disappointed. And I mulled over that for about half an hour. And I was like, what did I do wrong? Could I have done this better? Maybe I should have looked up something. And then I just got back on the phone and kept going through it. And now if someone like hangs up on me, like I'm ready to go next. Went from 30 minutes to 30 seconds. And now I'm able to go because I was able to discipline my disappointments. And you can discipline your disappointments two ways. One, you can be in an environment where you have permission to fail, which is a good thing about working with a brokerage, is that you can be in an environment where you're expected to learn, to grow, and to fail. And that's okay because that's how you progress. And two, you can discipline your disappointments by getting wins, small wins. So maybe your first set of wins is just picking up the phone. Maybe your second set of wins is making 50 calls in one day. Maybe your next milestone is 100 calls in a day. And maybe then you start to shift things over to, instead of just making 50 calls, I'm going to go for 50 no's. I'm going to need 50 people to tell me no or hang up on me or not right now before I get off the phones. And then you just kind of change your little mindsets. And that's how you build momentum. And when you have that momentum, it increases your confidence. So you're able to discipline your disappointments even better. So good stuff, Alex. Let's see. What else you got, buddy?
aircraft brokers often make is not putting enough effort into generating leads or not even knowing what to start looking for
Preach.
potential clients. So let me give
Preach.
you some advice. First and foremost, you have to understand that this business is all about building relationships, and
Mhm.
it takes multiple touch points for someone to agree to work with you. Don't expect someone to sign an exclusive listing or acquisitions agreement with you on the first email or phone call. It's just not going to happen.
Two things about this. Number one, think about what you're doing as a broker. You're hello, Mr. Smith, Mr. Ultra high net worth individual that can afford a $2 million jet. You've never met me and you don't even know what my face looks like or know anything about me, but I'm calling to ask you if I can list your $2 million jet and be responsible for selling it for you. And by the way, will you pay me $100,000 to do that? No wonder you get a click all the time, right? What you're asking is hard. It takes time and it takes multiple touch points, like Alex is saying, and that's why you got to have a system in place, a process in place to reach out and to be as effective as possible every time you reach out, to follow up on a consistent basis, to recognize that you're going to have to talk to that person or reach out to them at least 10, 12, 15, 20 times, and you're going to have to be okay with it. This is part of your job. This is about commission. This is about going out hunting, eating what you kill. Like this is the life, man. And and the other thing I would say about it is having the systems and process is super important. And then as far as what did he say? He said something that
It is important to also keep track of them in a CRM such as Pipedrive. Now, there are two ways to generate leads that I want to cover in this video.
okay, before I go into that, there was something he was talking about. They underestimate like how difficult it is. Yeah, I mean, you're calling a random stranger, interrupting their day, and you have to build a relationship off that. That's really tough. I think at the end of the day, what I want to say is that's why it's really helpful to work with a brokerage. That's why it's helpful to have a coach or a mentor or somebody alongside with you to do that. So, I mean, if you guys are looking to get into aviation, when you think about aviation for a second, it's such an untapped market. There's so much potential because it's been gated for so long. There's a lot of amazing brokers out there right now, been in the industry for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. It's generational. And those are amazing brokers. But guess what? They can't serve the entire population of people who want to be in aviation because more and more people are getting involved in private aviation. It's becoming more accessible as prices, kind of change and there's a new influx of ultra high net worth individuals. I mean, the old ones they pass on, and then there's new rich people, and those new rich people are going to need people to help them. And maybe it's those brokers that have been in business for years, but I think there's enough of a market share for new people, for individuals maybe like yourself that are looking for career change, looking for something exciting, or who want to be a part of aviation, but maybe you can't get a pilot's license. It's too expensive, or you can't get the medical, or maybe you used to be a pilot and now you want to try something different. I don't know. There's just so many opportunities and reasons why people want to get in aviation, and I want to help them. That's why we created Jet Life Aero, and that's why we have the program. Go to theultimatejetguide.com and schedule a call with me so I can walk you through, how you can get involved in aviation on the sales side and the acquisition side. Anyway, it's really cool. I'm really excited about it. But let's get back to Alex and let's see what else he wants to talk about. How to get leads. This will be good.
Which are active and passive lead gen. Let's start with passive lead gen. The easiest way to get started is
You know what? If you want to see active and passive lead generation, I think you should go watch his video. I'm gonna give that one to Alex. So let's see what else he's got to say about the mistakes that people make. So go check out the video if you want active passive leads.
next in the list is lack of follow-up. So now that you have a list of potential clients you contacted or they have interacted with your content, many aircraft brokers make the mistake of not following up consistently
Yes.
with their leads. And this
Yes.
is where they lose potential customers. A study by HubSpot states that 80% of closed deals require at least 5 follow-ups after the initial contact.
Oh, I'm
Therefore,
gonna
it's
go.
essential to have a proper system in place for consistent follow-up, whether it be through email campaigns or phone calls. I highly recommend using a CRM such as Pipedrive or Salesforce to manage and track your leads. It's also crucial to have a schedule and stick to it.
Yeah, so follow-up is great. It's a really important skill to have, and it can just feel like so much. Like when you're doing this on your own, you're just like, "Oh, I'm always following up." Like I just don't know. There's so much stuff to do. I got to make new calls. I got to follow up. Listen, keep it simple. Pick a market. Call that market. Call them again. Keep calling them. Send them an email. Send them a text message. Give them value. Send them a market report. Find a news article. Email it to them. Text it to them. I think something that's really important that people don't differentiate between is when it comes to follow-up, there's how you follow up and what you follow up with. The how is pretty basic. Call, text, email, direct mail, social media. That's the how. I think what's more important is the what. What is your follow-up? How can you provide value to people so that they want to talk to you? If someone calls me, I get a cold call. Usually it's Medicaid or health insurance, enrollment, or sales training. Those are the main things I get cold calls on. And the most effective ones are the sales training ones because they usually have something to offer me. Hey, we got a new deal. Hey, we got a new event coming up. Hey, we got a new book, new product, new service, yada, yada, yada. The Medicare and the health insurance people are the worst. They're like, hey, we're calling about Medicare. Hey, we're calling about health insurance. No. Hey, we're calling about health insurance. No. Hey, we're calling about health insurance. Take me off your list. Hey, we're calling out health insurance. I told you to take me off my list. Like that's all they say. They literally call and they're like, hey, I want to see if you're ready to sign up for health insurance. So if you're a jet broker and all you're doing is calling, hey, you want to sell your jet? Hey, you want to sell your jet? Hey, you want to sell your jet? No one's going to listen to you. And if all you do is make a phone call, hey, you want to sell your jet? Send an email, hey, you want to sell your jet? Send a text message, hey, you want to sell your jet? Send them on social media DM, hey, you want to sell your jet? The how, doesn't do anything. Even though you've changed different hows, the what is all you're doing is asking them a question. That doesn't help. Like provide value to them. Hey, listen, I'm sure you're probably not looking to sell your jet right now, but I have a market report on the CJ2s. Would you like me to send it to you so you can see what your jet is worth? Or, hey, for the next week, I'm providing free evaluations on VREF for owners that are thinking about selling. Or have you thought about selling your CJ2? And would you like a evaluation, an appraisal on what your jet might be worth? Or, hey, I've got a guy that's looking for a CJ2. I know you weren't looking to sell. Would you be open to possible off-market offers? Or, hey, we just noticed that the sales price on the CJ2s are dropping. You're giving them news. Or, hey, we just noticed that, hey, I found this funny video about why people hate commercial airlines. Check it out. Get a laugh. The how is important, but I think the what you do as your follow-up is even more important. And again, that's why, we have training with this. And this is why we give details out for people who are aspiring jet brokers. Because we do need to follow up multiple times, but we can't keep asking them, hey, do you want to sell your jet? Hey, do you want to sell your jet? Hey, do you want to sell your jet? It's not going to work that way.
Whether it be weekly or monthly follow-ups. Remember, consistency is key when it comes to converting leads into customers. Last in the list is not setting goals for yourself. Without goals, it's challenging to measure success and identify areas for improvement. You should set both short-term and long-term goals, such as the number of leads you want to generate in a month or the revenue you aim to make in a year. These goals will drive your daily actions and keep you motivated to continually improve and grow your brokerage. It's also important to regularly track your progress towards these goals and make adjustments as needed to stay on track. By setting specific, measurable, realistic, and timely goals, you will have the roadmap for success in the aircraft sales industry. So this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed.
I'm going to push back on these goals. Yeah, smart goals are important, but I think you need to break it down a little bit more. So yeah, I want to make 6 figures. How am I going to do that? I'm going to sell 20 jets and make sure my commission's at least $5,000. Okay, I'm going to sell 20 jets means I got to sell almost 2 a month. Okay, great. Well, how are you going to get to those sales? You need to know the numbers. And so if you work it backwards, it comes down to, I think, something along the line of like 10,000 phone calls. If you make, it's something along the lines of, if you make, for every sale, you would have had to have at least 3 under contract. If you would have had 3 under contract, that means you probably had at least 5 to 10 listings. Let's go with 10 listings. In order to get 10 listings, so this is for one sale. In order to get those 10 listings, and this is like having a listing at a given time. In order to get those 10 listings, you probably had to do at least 30 pitches. That's people that were qualified to talk to. And to get 30 pitches in front of them, you probably had to get to something along the lines of 300 people that you had to talk to. And that's just have the first conversation, like, are you open to selling? And they said yes. Of the 300, to get to there, you probably had to make 3,000 phone calls to get out that far, to get to talk to people. And if you do that a couple of times, I think we start at like 10K. So the challenge, what I tell people who come in to work with me is it's a race to 10,000 phone calls. So if you're doing to get a deal, so if you need 10,000 phone calls, and you divide that by 100 calls a day, that's 100 days. Now, most people are not working 7 days a week. So 100 days, they're usually working 22 days a month. So 100 divided by 22 is 4.5 months. So you're about 4.5, 6 months to your first sale, 10,000 calls. I'm going to break so I'm taking what Alex is saying and I'm breaking it down even more granular to show you what it's going to take. So how fast can you get to 10,000 calls? That's 100 calls a day in 4.5 months. Okay, will you find someone who's ready to sell along the line, like before that? Yeah, sure. It's definitely possible. So yeah, I think Alex is right. Like we need to set goals, but also I'm going to get a little bit more granular with those goals. So listen, before we head out, I want to share one more thing with you guys. I'm really excited about this. Like if you're looking to be a jet broker, there's two things you need to do. Number one, you need to go to theultimatejetguide.com. Okay. And you need to schedule a call with me. Let's talk. I want to talk with you. I want to answer your questions. I want to, share my experience with you, but more importantly, like answer the questions that you have. Like, Tom, how do I get started? Or like, how hard is it really, Tom? Or, what does it cost? So step one, go to theultimatejetguide.com. Check out some videos. What does it take to be a jet broker? Find out my story when I was interviewed with Flying with Big Earn, amazing YouTuber. Check out his channel. Learn the story of Alex Strohmeyer, who made $18,000 in his first deal. I think that was in like 4 or 5 months from when he started with us. Learn about becoming an aircraft broker, how, things kind of work on Jet Life Aero. And we've got other stuff on our YouTube channel, but go there. And then secondly, go to circle.jetlifeaero.com and check out our Circle community. Within the Circle community, we have a free course. Learn what are the apps that we use as jet brokers, how to get a job as a broker, choosing which jets you want to sell. What's the overview for aviation documents, how brokers get paid, how to get started with research. This is all stuff you can do on your own to become a broker and to act like a broker without paying anything, because there's no license or certification to be a jet broker. So you can get started today with nothing. But if you're looking for a way to shrink time and get started today, work with me one-on-one and learn all the skills and get access to all the documents that we use at Jet Life Aero, get access to ongoing training. We've got our Jet Life Academy, Broker Academy, and the 24 lessons take about a weekend or a week, depending on how focused you want to be, to get it done. We work on how aviation works, how to become a professional, what's the sales framework, documents overview, everything you need to know. At the end of this program, it costs $2,500 right now. But at the end of this program, you're also going to spend 2 days with me. And at the end of those 2 days, you're going to have 3 options. You can either, one, you can become a jet broker yourself. Number 2, I'll write you a letter of recommendation, get your foot in the door with other brokerages throughout the country. Or number 3, come work with Jet Life Aero. We have a whole program and system in place for people just like you with no aviation background to get started in aviation. And I would love to share more with you about that. So if you want to learn more, go to theultimatejetguide.com. Don't forget to click the subscribe button.